Neighbouring Kenya, the home of the deputy president, was the scene of an attack over the weekend. Kenyan police say one of their officers died when a gunman carried out an assault on William Ruto's residence. Ruto and his family were not home at the time of the attack. Kenyan police say the gunman was shot and killed. They say the situation is now under control. Now, police initially said the attacker was armed with a machete. The motive for the attack remains unclear. William Ruto is the running mate of President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is seeking a second term in office in the August 8th election. Well, meanwhile, a top Kenyan election official was found dead on Monday, 3 days after going missing, stirring fears of turmoil before next week's presidential election. Chris Musando, the election board's head of information, communication and technology, was tortured before he died. The election body told journalists without giving further details. Well, joining us via Skype from Nairobi is Africa 54's Vincent Makori. Vincent, good evening.
Good evening, Hayde.
Vincent, what more can you tell us about the death of Chris Musando?
Well, the death is come as a shock to most Kenyans, and many had been wondering where he was because he went missing. It was reported missing by Sunday yesterday, and reports were that his car had been found somewhere. And then later on now, reports come to indicate that he's actually dead, and finally it was confirmed that his body was somewhere way far from where the car was found. So it's a shocking thing to many Kenyans, given that he was a man who was holding a very critical position in the Electoral Commission. He was handling the IT systems that are mostly responsible for ensuring that the election results will be transmitted without being compromised. This is the guy who was supposed to take care of that. And then today was supposed to be a day he was supposed to be conducting a dry run of those systems to make sure that the elections will be conducted in a free and fair fashion. So most Kenyans are so confused about why this has happened, and at this particular time, who killed Mr. Musando? That is a question in the minds of everybody. So far, no leads, nobody has been arrested, and the police say they're still investigating.
Well, looking at, Musando's death and, of course, that attack on the deputy president's home, of course, all of these events must be casting a long shadow over the country. What is the mood in the Kenyan capital, especially as the August 8th election approaches?
Of course, a lot is going on. People are speculating all sorts of things. As regards the attack on the vice president's home, some are even skeptical, really, about, what the nature of the attack. There are those who have even suggested that it was stage-managed to kind of distract from important issues, or even perhaps to create a precedent for further attacks, perhaps on the homes of the opposition candidates. It doesn't make a lot of sense, given that it was one person with a machete who managed to hold off very heavily armed security personnel for about 19 hours. It does not make sense to a majority of Kenyans. And then there are all sorts of speculations around why that could have happened at this time. But again, all the same, all that said, the question is, why are all these things happening around the election time when it's just a few days to the election? It is fueling a lot of speculation. People can't stop talking about these things, but nobody has a clear answer. Nobody has a clear idea as to why all these things are happening.
Well, all the speculation and confusion is totally understandable, but in terms of more serious ramifications, do these events spark fears of a possible scheme to rig the election and in turn the spectre of election violence?
Most certainly, because remember, for days now, even if not months, many have been speculating that there's a scheme to rig the elections and that there will be so many acts and actions that may be used to rig the elections. And as a consequence, if there's a rigged election, you can be sure that there will be a recipe for violence soon after the election. Now, to see the killing of a person that is very close to the electoral process, of course, gives many people a sense that that is a confirmation that there is some scheme. There is some scheme to steal this election, to mess up with them in some way. And the fear is if that perception stays and the election goes the other way, the government in power wins the election, what will be the reaction? Will the opposition accept the results? Now that they have said they will only accept the results if they're free and fair. If there is a perception that there is interference, there is a scheme, of course, that creates a lot of fear among Kenyans. And many have actually left this city, try to get as far away as they can from the center of where they believe there's going to be a lot of action.
Well, a lot of questions in Kenya tonight, just over a week before the elections. Vincent Makori joining us live via Skype from Nairobi, Kenya. Vincent, thank you very much.